So, quite a few years ago, I was doing a presentation at a small community center, and I had a lady come up to me. She had seen the presentation, and she was asking me that she needs to fly to Australia. Her her brother was actually, and this is kind of sad, but her brother was dying, and she wanted to get back to be able to see him from the United States. And so she came to my office, and we started doing the tapping process. And we worked through a lot of stuff just in the practice, but I knew I needed to get her on a plane. I needed to get her up there and to be able to see what it's like on a plane. So I called one of the local. We were at the time we were in in Charlotte, and there were local race teams located up north of Charlotte. And I happened to get a hold of one, and he was a really cool guy. He said, "Well, oh yeah, whatever, you can bring him up here anytime you want." And I got her on a session. We drove up there, and they were so nice. I mean, it was a good sized plane. It wasn't I don't think it was a 737, a little bit smaller than that, but it was still a good sized plane. And I got her onto the plane. They didn't run the engine for the plane itself, but they turned all the stuff inside on. So it was very much like being on a plane. And we were able to help her to tap through um, the 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 stresses that she goes through. One of her biggest one was when she got on the plane. She could get on all right, but as soon as she sat down, she started to feel sick, and then she would look back at the um, where the bathroom was, and then her mind took her on this whole journey of what do I do? I don't know if I'm going to make it. What if? And she would get so sick by the time she got to, I think the time, she's flown to places before, and she'd get so sick that she'd be in bed for most of the time she was gone. And when she started to feel better, she got right back into the idea that she's going to get back on a plane. So we did this. We worked for about 6 sessions together, and um, she was able to get on a plane. She because it's about a 24-hour flight from Charlotte to Australia. A lot of different stops and things, and she was able to get through it without a hitch. Um, and you know what I found out later, she flies all the time now. Her husband was did some international work, and so she could fly everywhere without a question now, and still does. We talked to her, I don't know, a year or so ago, and she was still doing a lot of flying. So it was a really good way to get her to calm down, to be able to see what this was all about, and able to handle it through tapping.
Well, hello, this is Gina
And this is Don.
with Focused Healthy Family. This is podcast number 176. And today we're talking about tapping into calm. So, Don's talking about EFT tapping, the practice that he does. And, his story, this woman had such a fear of flying. She could fly, but she was so sick that when she got where she was going, she was sick. And meeting up with her, working on tapping sessions, and just the beauty that he found a hangar with planes, and I think you were tapping outside the plane, and then they offered for you to go
No,
in the
we got
plane.
right in it, right there
Okay.
in it. They had it all set up when we got there. And then, the other interesting story is I finished with her. We were getting ready to leave, and the lady at the front desk of this location said, "Can you do anything for?" I'm trying to think of what it was now.
Heights, was it?
It was about heights, but what it and as we actually sat down right there at the front desk because there was nobody else around, and we did some tapping on it. And first off, it kind of came down to a place of feeling vulnerable, and the heights just made that even worse. So, and what I did, we literally went back to where the plane was. Like I said, it was a very tall plane, and there was steps going up to this little platform that kind of looked down on the plane. So I took her back there, and we slowly but surely, as we got closer, she started getting nervous. We tapped it down, calmed it down. We got closer to the steps, got a little nervous. We tapped it down, got her up halfway, tapped it down, got her calmer, got it to the top, and she wouldn't. I went over to look around, and she goes, "Oh, don't do that," you know. And so we tapped, and by the time we got done with her, she went up to the edge of the penny and said, "This isn't so bad." So another just kind of a wrap up story to the same thing, but
So the power of emotional freedom technique, EFT, also known as tapping. So first, Don, just give us a quick idea for our listeners who might not have any idea what that is.
well, the one of the best ways for me to explain it, if you think about the house or place that you live in, it has energy coming into it. It's a big wire. It's called electricity, but it's also known as energy. And it comes in through a big wire outside, and then it has to be distributed out within your house to all the appliances, the lamps, everything. And it's done through the little wires that are in the wall. Well, the reason I bring that up is that we're energy beings, and 95 to 98% of what goes on up here is electrical. And Gina, where you're sitting and where I'm sitting, we have energy flowing through us all the time. And we have these little pathways of energy that help distribute that energy. And um, and when they get out of balance, they kick us into fight or flight, which is what anxiety is, stress is, and all that. So what we do in this tapping process, very similar to acupuncture, if you've ever done acupuncture, they're putting needles along these pathways to get them to calm down. We instead are tapping on the end points of those pathways to calm them back down, get that fight or flight down. And then we add into it verbalizing the negative thoughts, feelings, etc., to get that again, get the fight or flight down. And then we're able to, our mind kind of opens up at that point to be able to express what's going on for us. And we really, what I always try to do is get down to kind of the deepest level of it. What's really at the bottom of this? I always talk about there's kind of two messages that we tend to do. We have what I call a surface message. Maybe it's something like I hate my boss or something like that. And what I like to do with a client is talk about, okay, if that happens, then what? And we dig down and dig down. I'll just keep asking until we get down to what I call a root message. And it might be a message like, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough, or I I need to be one of the other ones I get a lot is I need to be in a better place than what I'm at. As we get older, we worry about, we're not far enough along in our journey or whatever. So we always try to get to that root message. So it's really about balancing the mind out, getting the fight or flight down, and getting it to a calmer place, a more energy place. As I work with somebody, that the energy tends to pick up the more we do, because we start opening things up that have been closed, maybe by fight or flight or whatever.
So when Don, we talked about we need to do a podcast. Life has been so busy that we are recording the week of, we're airing, and I was thinking about stress, and as caregivers, that's a big thing, right? How do we take care of ourselves? How do we deal with the stress, right? I wanted to just play cards with Don and forget about the podcast and was like, can we do a podcast while we play cards? And maybe we'll do that in the future. So I thought about just the anxiety and the stress that I'm feeling, a bunch of decisions that need to be made. I'm going to keep it kind of generic today. Um, but this is such a common theme, right? We have a lot of things to do. We have limited time, resources, finances could be affecting, and just that feeling of, I get kind of an overwhelmed feeling like, oh my goodness, there's just so much that, and my response is freeze. There's fight, flight, and freeze. And I tend to get frozen, not wanting to deal with anything. Um, so I thought we could go through the process here. Um, and I've done EFT myself. I actually learned EFT before Dawn did. I
She
love
got me into
I
it.
love to share that tidbit. And that was back probably 20 some years ago. And I went to an EFT practitioner. I was kind of looking for some sort of counseling or something and found the wonderful Jan Luther, EFT master, and learned from her, worked with her. I actually went to her first training that she did, training other people to be, there's different levels of training, level one EFT practitioner. And I've always done it for myself, my family, um, on a personal level. And Don went into it on a business level and pursued higher levels of certification. So,
Well, what I thought maybe we would do, because this is some of this is really goes over to the person. I'm right now. I'm going to be the professional, the
practitioner,
facilitator,
yes.
practitioner of it, and Gina will be the client. I will start it out, but I will ask her to share in anything that she wants to add to it, or because it really, when we're doing it, we want it to be from the person itself too. So that anyway. So the way I like to start it out, of course, is to take maybe two or three really good, slow, deep breaths. Now, I tend to take it in through the nose. I like to hold it in for maybe 5 or 6 seconds and then let it out really slow. And as you let it out, let the body kind of relax as you're letting it out. All right, we're gonna start on the edge of the hand. Doesn't matter which one you want to start with. I think you like to do it like a
I
karate chop.
learned this method, so I'm going to do that method.
That's fine too. Um, I'm going to continue on with that. All right. Even though
Even though
I'm feeling really stressed,
I'm feeling really stressed,
very overwhelmed,
very overwhelmed,
too much to do in my life,
too much to do in my life.
even though that may be true,
Even though that may be true,
I totally and completely
I totally and completely,
love and accept myself exactly as I am.
I love and accept myself exactly as I am.
All right, let's try again. Even though
Even though
I'm feeling very overwhelmed,
I'm feeling very overwhelmed,
I really want to be underwhelmed,
I really want to be underwhelmed.
but right now I'm just stressing over this now.
Right now, I'm stressing over several different things right now.
There you go. Even though that may be true,
Even though that may be true,
I want to acknowledge these feelings
I want to acknowledge these feelings
because when I acknowledge these feelings,
because when I acknowledge these
I
feelings,
can begin to change the feelings.
I can begin to change the feelings.
And that's what I'm here for.
And that's what I'm here for.
All right. Even though
Even though
I'm feeling so overwhelmed,
I'm feeling so overwhelmed,
so much to do,
so much to do,
so little time.
so little time.
Even though that may be true,
Even though that may be true,
I totally and completely
I totally and completely
love and accept myself exactly as I am.
love and accept myself exactly as I am.
Let's move up here to the eyebrow. Take another deep breath. I'm feeling so overwhelmed.
I'm feeling so overwhelmed.
So much to do.
There's so much to do.
And I have kids that I have to take care of.
I have kids that I have to take care of,
And there's so much to do with them.
and there's so much to do.
I barely have time for myself.
I barely have time for myself.
I really want more time for myself.
I really want more time for
You can add in
myself.
here. If there is something else, go ahead. We can go down here. Tell me what was going through your mind.
Um, I don't know what I want right now. I'm just feeling so these things all got to get done, and there's only one of me.
Okay. Okay.
There's this job. There's more than I work three different companies, and there's balancing work and um, yeah, just figuring
Okay.
it all out.
So I'm trying to figure it all out,
I'm trying to figure it all out.
but there's just so much that's overwhelming.
There's so many different things that it's overwhelming,
And I really want to do something different
and I really want to do something different
because this isn't working well.
because it's not working well.
And I don't need to be overwhelmed.
I don't need to be overwhelmed.
I have so many other things I could do.
I have so many other things I could do.
Does that did that not fit right? Tell me what.
What are the other things I could do?
Well, you tell me what's your next thought that went through?
Oh, it would be nice to just get in the car and go to the beach.
There you go. I really want to go to the
I
beach,
really want to just get in the car and drive to the beach and forget everything.
sit in the sand,
Sit in the sand,
read a book,
read a book, put my toes in the water.
but I'm stuck here.
Am I? I'm stuck here. I'm here,
You're here, and there's a lot to do,
and there's a lot to do.
but I'm only human.
Yet I'm only human.
I can only do so much,
I can only do so much.
but I still feel overwhelmed.
Yet I still feel overwhelmed.
I'd like to feel underwhelmed,
I'd like to feel underwhelmed.
but I'm feeling overwhelmed.
Yet I'm feeling overwhelmed.
I want to find a way
I want to find a way
to release this tension I have.
to release this tension that I have.
There's only so much I can do,
There's only so much I can do.
and there's almost only so much time I can do this in.
There's only so much time that I can do this in.
That there's got to be another way
There's got to be another way
to be able to calm myself.
to be able to calm myself.
Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts coming through for you?
And just as an aside, when Don works with somebody, he spends a little more time talking about the issues and the problems. You can do generic with a group of people. I used to attend group classes, but can also focus in. Um, and when Don does the group online sessions, even if you're just tapping along to someone else's concerns, there's borrowed benefits that it still can help us with whatever we have going on. Um, um, Yeah, you talked about tension. So my head feels achy and tight, and it just,
Okay,
um,
let's work on that. So, being overwhelmed,
being overwhelmed,
it affects my body.
it affects my body.
Let's go into the arm. I get tension in my head,
I get tension in my head, my jaw.
and I really I don't need that distraction.
I don't need that distraction.
I need to release that tension.
I need to release that tension.
I'm old enough and wise enough
I'm old enough and wise enough
to get past this overwhelmness.
to get past this
I've
overwhelmness.
done it before.
I've done it before.
It's on top of the head. So I don't need a distraction of a headache or jaw issues.
Don't need distraction of this jaw pain, this headache.
I really need to release it.
I need to release it.
I need to be able to think straight,
I need to be able to think straight,
to be able to get past this overwhelmness.
to be able to get past the
And
overwhelmness.
I don't need any bodily pain
I don't need any bodily pain
to slow me down.
to slow me down.
I really want to release it.
I'm really ready to release it.
I am so ready to release this pain.
I am so ready to release this pain.
I've got to be able to think straight.
I get to be able to think straight.
And so I don't need the pain
I don't need the pain
to slow me down.
to slow me down.
I am ready to release this overwhelm.
I'm ready to release this overwhelm.
I'm also ready to release this pain.
I'm also ready to release this pain.
Take another good deep breath. Did anything change up?
Yeah, the head shifted. Definitely the tension in my head shifted as I was kind of relaxing my jaw as we went through it.
Where did it shift to? Did it move to the back of the head or?
I guess I'm noticing it more in my jaw than before I was noticing it more in my head.
All right. So let's continue on. So I've had enough of this.
I've had enough of this.
I don't need a pain in my jaw.
I don't need a pain in my jaw.
It moved.
It moved.
I want it to move out completely.
I want it to move out completely.
I don't need a pain in my jaw.
I don't need a pain in my jaw.
I really want to relax now.
I really want to relax now.
I want to ease this overwhelmness.
I want to ease the overwhelmness.
I'm ready to relax the jaw tension.
I'm ready to relax and release the jaw tension.
I don't need any more distractions.
I don't need any more distractions.
I would, I'm giving permission to my mind
I'm giving permission to my
to
mind
let go of this jaw pain.
to let go of this jaw pain.
And I'm so ready to get rid of the overwhelmness.
And I'm so ready to get rid of the overwhelmness.
I'm trying to remember the message that Jan used to say about, because it wasn't underwhelming.
Perfectly whelmed.
Perfect. That's the right. Yeah. I want to get to perfectly wellness.
I'm ready to get to perfectly wellness.
I am so ready to release the overwhelmness.
I'm ready to release the overwhelmness.
I want to see what the perfectly wellness would turn out like.
I'd like to see what the perfectly wellness turns out like.
I am so ready for that.
I'm so ready for that.
I'm ready to relax now
I'm ready to relax
and
now
release the pain, the tension in my head and my jaw.
and to release the tension in my head and my jaw.
And I'm ready for the perfect wellness.
I'm ready for perfect wellness.
All right, take a good deep breath. How does that feel?
There was a little bit of distraction going on because I've tapped with two other practitioners. For a while it was Jan, and then there's another
Ah,
person. And I've done a lot of work on how I talk to myself and things. And you kept using the word want. And
ah,
we learned back from Neil Donald Walsh in Conversations with God is if you declare you want something, you're creating a state of wanting.
ah.
And I'm working the work I do with my good friend Helen. Um, we did work on positive intelligence. We've done podcasts about that. Um, is
I think
like
I noticed in there you mentioned you used the word the one part where you switched the word to I think get or something
yes,
like that, you know.
instead of I get to, and I choose to.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
ready for. Because even the need, I need to, that just feels heavy to me. Like I've
Mhm.
got need to. Like we talked about, I should, and there's the saying you shouldn't should on yourself, right?
Yeah,
And I know I've pointed out to you before, Don, that you turned your shoulds into gottas. I got to do this. I got to do that.
yeah,
I got, and that need felt that same way to me. Like I need to. I know it's like I'm ready to. I get to.
yeah. No,
Um,
that's good. That's a good
I
point
get
then.
to make these choices. It's this. Um, and so, yeah, part of me was correcting. And I know when you work with someone, they can change what you've said. If
No,
it
that's
feels better to say it differently, then you say it differently. Um, and it does, it's a mind shift, right? It's reframing. When I've done work with Helen and saying I get to do things. So you think of, oh, I have this to do, I've got to go
yeah.
here. It's like, no, I get to go to the grocery store and pick out food for my family. I get to um, wash the clothes that I get to use. We have a nice washer and dryer. I get to wash the clothing for my family. I get to make phone calls that help make decisions that will help, my child and will help with, other things. I get to figure out what works for me with work and what doesn't and what I can let go of and what I and so it's a total frame of changing just that feeling of I've got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do
Hmm.
that, and that kind of taking charge of our own life.
Well, I have a list of the 10 words you should not say. I think I've shown you that before. Gotta is on there, but I'm trying to think of I I, I made choices for each one. I can't remember what I put in that, but that's a really good idea to add that in and start framing it for even for myself as I'm doing these and getting people to use different wording and how they to do it so it isn't so heavy like you said.
I'm just I am waiting for a phone call, one of the many things on my to-do list, so I want to make sure nothing has come through as we're talking here. um
Well, the other thing that if we kind of go back into my in the session, one of the things I work on is awareness,
mhm.
getting people aware of. of what's going on up here. What are the messages? What are the thoughts, the feelings that doing it? And I think I've used this before, but I thought I'd go back over. It's called I call it arm length awareness. And you have my arms stretched out and there's a little cup at the end, But a lot of times these messages that these people have sometimes gained from childhood. I mean, that's what we actually go into a lot of that in working with it. They gain these things and they become very, very normal for us. We don't even think about them being as negative as they are. And so what we tend to do is we tend to catch it out here. It's already out, the thought's already done, and we do one of two things with it. We either beat ourselves up about it, like, oh, I wish I wouldn't, how stupid of me to do that, that kind of thing, or we distract from it. And distraction has a good feel to it for certain things. Like, if you're, like you say, you're a little bit overwhelmed and you just want to distract to go somewhere else, sometimes that can be really good. But sometimes if you're doing too much, I think it wears,
Are you avoiding? Or are you
yeah,
like we earlier we took a break. I just like we had to do a podcast. I was so all the stuff on my mind. I'm like, how do I like even wrap my head around doing a podcast? And we both went outside and we walked around the yard and looked at all the mulch you've put down and the places that still need mulch. Um,
yeah,
See our former podcast from last week on Chip Drop, um,
yeah,
and just getting out in the fresh air, putting our feet in the grass, literally grounding, and just breathing some fresh air, just stepping out for a minute, changing where we are. Movement so helps to move when we're feeling stuck in the brain. I've always children used to get annoyed with me, but it's like if you're stuck up here, just getting up, standing up,
yeah.
changing a different room can be a big shift. And so these learning how to care for ourselves, learning these tools, and the great thing about tapping is I do this if I'm out in public and I see, especially if I see a parent responding to a child in a way that's maybe less than helpful or
Yeah.
and just any kind of stressful situation, I would just kind of tap through it for others, but then also for myself, like when you're driving, and
But
you get to
you
know.
can use rubbing a lot of times if you don't want to look like if you don't want to look like a monkey tapping on the top of your head, rubbing can work as far as that same thing. What
And
I was going to say with that arm length is the last thing I try to get him is to switch it to an acceptance of what's coming, what the thought is, so that we can begin to change it. And that's what we really try to see what it is, accept what it is, and try to dig down into the root of it to get to the root of it. And then, like I say, and by accepting it, you can begin to change it.
yeah, because things happen in life and it's how we handle them, right?
Yeah.
You hear people say, oh, they made me so mad. They made me so this. It's like, well, what they did brought up anger in you. But until we can own our feelings, till we can own our own responsibility for how we're feeling and how our actions are, because we can have control over that. And yes, something unexpected happens. There's going to be feelings there. It's not that you won't have them. It's that we get to decide, okay, feeling this way, what's the next step? Um, because yeah, life situations can be overwhelming. Caring for aging parents. I just told Don this recently, all the work helping my dad out after he passed, we're doing this podcast and caring for aging loved ones. And part of me was just like, I'm done. I'm done with it. I'm done. Um, and it's like, oh, yeah, my mother's still living and she's doing good right now, but
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
that. Um, and
Well,
so
and
knowing, self-care, right? That's what I wanted to just thinking about what things can we do to care for ourselves, whatever the challenges we're dealing with it, whether it's our kids, our aging loved ones, our spouse, ourself, our extended family, and there's usually a multitude of things that are happening in our lives. And
Well, the EFT is one of those, just one of the many different things you can do for yourself. And I always try to, let people, what I don't want people to think about is that if I do EFT, I need a half hour, I need an hour. No, I use it, and you do the same thing as you're driving somewhere, or you have a thought that comes up at home or at work. You take a minute, take the deep breath, And if you can work through a little bit of the words that might be there, that's good. If not, just use it to bring it down, you know?
That's what I loved about when I was learning it, and I was doing individual sessions with Jan, and then I was going to, she held group sessions, and I was going to those. And what I loved is she said, you can't do it wrong. People want to get it right. Wait, where am I supposed to tap? When am I supposed to tap next? And you can, Don, you still have links on the website to tapping resources and
Mhm.
videos about that. So yeah, it helps to learn kind of the basics to go through it. Yet once you know the basics, yeah, you can't do it wrong. Any amount, it's like you said, it's energy release. Those are meridian points that we use in acupressure, acupuncture. And think about it when you're feeling stressed, something is, you're like, oh my goodness, right? You put your hand over your heart, right? And so there's a meridian point there. And so just taking action to yeah, like you said, incorporating it into your day,
Well,
just
a lot
like
of
taking deep breaths.
well, a lot of times when if somebody's when we get it raises up the anxiety, they start feeling pressure in the body. Some people choke up when they do it. So a lot of times the first thing I'll do is, and it's pretty simple. I don't need this distraction. I really want to let go of this stuff. I can handle the stress. I love the older and wiser. That's how it, but it is. I mean, we should be able to handle the stress. That's what if most people are sitting in front of me, they want to handle the stress and having the pain, and that doesn't help that at all. So I always try to work on that first and then get into what's behind it.
How does that go from fried green tomatoes?
Old enough, wise enough.
I'm old, I'm bigger and older and have more insurance. I can't remember. I'm not quoting
Yes.
that quite right, but
I'll have
favorite.
to see if I can find that. Maybe I can put that on here real quick. But
What are you doing? Are you crazy?
Face it, girls. I'm older and I have more insurance.
So, taking care of ourselves, there's things going on in life, and learning these skills when things are calmer can be helpful so that you had, and having that reminder, joining Don on Tuesday evenings at
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Eastern Standard Time.
You can learn it. You can just observe. You can, if you just want to watch, pull up the videos that Don has to learn what it is. And
And that's the podcast for us for today. We're really glad you joined us, and we'd love to hear your comments. Whether you want to know about EFT or if you want to know about what we do, what Gina and I do to help others through their journey with their aging loved one. My own work, I work with the those that are dealing the caregivers that are dealing with their aging loved one by helping them to calm themselves down, change their energy, that kind of thing. All of that can be found on our podcast on our website, www.focusedhealthyfamily.com. You can find our podcast by focusedhealthyfamilypodcast.com. We also are on Facebook, Focused Healthy Family. We're on Instagram on Focused Healthy Family One, and YouTube. You can see us live doing our podcast at Focused Healthy Family. Each Thursday, we put these out at 8 o'clock, and you can always look at our archive. We got a lot of we've interviewed all kinds of therapists and caregivers and all
covered
kinds.
topics from caring for young children to caring for aging loved ones, self-care, quite a range of topics. And, share this with someone you know. If you enjoyed this podcast or another one you've listened to, send the link to someone, you're thinking of that might benefit from the information. Spread the love. Let other people know about us so that we can continue to do this. We love being here. You can see us anywhere you listen to a podcast, but also on YouTube. Like you can see Chip Drop. You got to check out last week's episode and all the chips that we got.
And we put a picture of the drop too, I think, on there too. So remember, how you speak to your children and your loved ones today shapes their future and yours.